I'm gutted that it ended the way it did.
I guess I want to be one of the biggest bands in the world, I guess.
We wanted to get as big as we could, and I wanted it to be my life.
You did kind of have that feeling for a while that, you know, kind of like, shit, this could go somewhere, you know.
What was the music scene like? What was South Wales like?
Savage. Just roll it. It was good, wasn't it? It was like...
For ages, it was the best music scene in the UK, if not Europe. If not the world for a little bit, I think.
We had... What was 2002? I think we had a place over in Pontypool, which is like a... It was like a factory unit, but it was like a big complex. It was like technically 3 tiers studio, like 3 floors, but officially 2. It was just like a mid bit. It was cool. But we had like 2 studios up there, and from 2 different perspectives, being in a band and being in a studio environment, like constantly, seeing the amount of bands that practiced there and came through and recorded and stuff, it was wild. It's just like, because I guess, I don't know why, you probably don't know a reason for it, but I guess the reason for it was because the internet was like a midway thing, do you know what I mean? It wasn't so like leany as it is now. It's like overly expressive now, isn't it? You've got to kind of like say something on the internet and get that kind of audience before you can be somebody now.
From kind of the early 2000s was really exciting. I myself kind of was in a local band called Trip Cage, kind of playing shows wherever we could, wherever there was an offer to play a show. And actually kind of Ryan from Funeral was in the band as well. So kind of we were in that band together for around about 3 years roughly. But it was an exciting time. I mean, what previously, and only just previously I guess, kind of, you know, you had bands kind of like Mag Street Preachers, Stereophonics, you know, those sort of bands were getting signed, and from our perspective, being in a kind of rock, metal, kind of whatever you want to call it, kind of band, thought it was possibly a little unreachable until, of course, the Lost Prophets kind of came along and got signed, kind of, and big things started happening for them. And that, for us, in other kind of, you know, I guess smaller kind of local bands, we saw that as a point of entry of that possibility, that bit of hope, that kind of, you know, it could happen to, you know, us as well.
I mean, I was in a band a really long time ago, and I just didn't enjoy kind of doing that. I was more interested in recording and being in the studio. I think I kind of started to get heavily involved in the scene, I guess, is I started working with a band called Dopamine, and we started with an album called Auditioning My Escape Plan, and the band were doing really well at the time, I think. That album just seemed to kind of, you know, do a lot for me, and before I knew it, I was just working with a lot of the bands around in Wales, really.
I'm not going to say there's not a lot to do in the valleys, because there is. Just a lot of it's not legal, but you know, just music was always a part of me, really. Growing up, I was always the kid that was made to go in all the choirs and everything else. So I was already kind of singing and interested in that side of things and being centre of attention, I suppose. But just that there was a rife scene in Merthyr, to be fair. RM's opened, and that was it then. It was rock music, and there was no looking back after that then.
22nd of April 2003, I saw Maida Suno, From This Moment On, Losing Sun, and Lost Profits playing Black Miners Institute downstairs in the little room. It was like 200 capacity, and that changed my life, like changed my world.
So, what the fuck is happening, TJs? Make some fucking noise! You know, a band from our local area that suddenly were getting loads of hype and press and making it outside of Wales, and it kind of gave me as a musician drive and hope that, you know, if I work hard and do it as well, then maybe those things could come to me as well. So I just remember it being like an exciting time, very naive, you know, didn't know anything about the industry, so it's like, yeah boys, you know, we can just go and tour the world. You know, we can do it. So, yeah, I got good memories of it. Definitely. There's loads of good bands around. You know, it's just everyone seemed to want to muck in, and like if I was playing a gig, then so and so would come, the band would come and watch us, and if they were playing, we'd go and watch them, and you know, everyone seemed to like be one big happy family.
I don't know, it's such a distant memory. No, I think it was awesome back then. I think like from a young age, the South Wales scene's been strong. I mean, we had the like Teen Spirit underage shows, which that's kind of how everyone met, I think. Like if my memory serves me right anyway, like we all used to go to those shows and watch bands like Douglas and like, you know, Ad 7 and all that sort of Shooting Goon and all that sort of stuff, play those shows. And yeah, and I guess like bands we looked up to, I looked up to anyway, was probably like, you know, Prophets and Funeral were sort of just about to blow up and like rise to the dizzy heights that they got to and stuff. So yeah, I think it was strong. I think like growing up with bands like that, being sort of doing so well for themselves, kind of like encouraged you or inspired you to want to be in a band. I think, like especially when you sort of 16, 17, still in school and you like love music, seeing someone locally do so well, I think definitely encouraged me to try anyway.
I think it's just that whole sort of kids growing up at the end of the MTV generation, Nirvana, you know, we got into it. Me and Matt, the drummer from Mighty Uno, were listening to like stuff like Nirvana and Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Smash Pumpkins, White Zombie and stuff when we were in junior school, so we were about like 9 or 10. We used to walk around like fucking Beavis and Butthead. And it was like just a natural thing, and let's start a band together. I landed on, we both were going to be drummers. He went for drums, I went for guitar, and then it was just like that natural thing, you know. We met another couple of people who got into rock, and then, you know, we started just doing it, not for a laugh, but you know, you got aspirations and things. And then we had a goal then, proper, when, you know, you look in 99, 2000, we recorded our debut single with Stuart Richardson from the Lost Prophets. And that was at the time when we were in the studio. Their 6-track demo was just finished, and we ended up finishing the session for the single, and we went to the gig in Newport where they signed their first deal. Can you help me out for money?
It was kind of quiet at the time. I mean, there was a few bands around in our particular area, Pontypridd, but nothing really sort of, you know, prominent as such. And I think so we sort of came along in and sort of like put a nail in things, really, didn't we? And sort of like put a stamp on things. And I just think, like, I mean, looking back at it now, it's probably one of the best scenes in the world at the fucking time. I don't think many fucking bands would want to come to Wales, headline, and play and go up against 4 fucking top bands, yeah. Because it must have been an arse whooping for them.
It was exciting, I think, you know, especially like the first couple of years of the noughties. Just because it seemed like everyone was doing something new. You know, every new band that came out was exciting. It's like, whoa, check out what these guys sound like. It's freaking crazy. It's like nothing you've ever heard before. So yeah, it definitely seemed pretty fresh.
I think the kind of catalyst for us was stuff like the first Hellfest DVD, you know, those sort of things.
Yeah. Or basically all
like,
the early Trust Kill.
If you look at that
stuff,
sort of thing, you know, like because like Ben had that first Hellfest DVD, and it's kind of like the holy grail item. It's that one thing that everyone kind of shares around, and you know, you always want to know like, oh, who's got it now? You know, you kind of take it home with you and watch it, and there's like so much good stuff on there, so much inspiring stuff. It's
it's kind of like a little window into what was happening in America at the time, really. You know, you got this little sneak peek, just one song per band of just this crazy stuff that was going on, and it was kind of one of those things that just made sense when you heard it. You know, you'd always had an idea about the kind of band you wanted to hear and the kind of music you wanted to hear, but nothing really sounded like it. You know, either loads of bands you loved, but they're never quite what you had in your head, and all of a sudden you heard this thing. It's like, shit, that's what I've been thinking of all along, and it kind of filled that gap. But basically, like, I'd known Ben, the original singer, you know, for like since we were like 16 or something like that. I just knew him kind of from school friends and that kind of thing, and I came to like uni in Cardiff and just bumped into him randomly, and he pretty much came out that he'd found these guys and he was starting this band, and did I kind of want to come see them, and then after come see them he was kind of like, oh, we're thinking about adding another guitarist, do you fancy trying out?
So we had like myself and Lee and the drummer at the time were kind of looking to expand the thing that we had going on, and then I guess Lee must have spoken to Ben, who I didn't know at the time. Ben turned up at my house wearing like a Strife windbreaker, and he also, this is the quite clever part on Ben's part, like he brought us all, he turned up and he kind of said, oh, I got a gift for you all, and he'd burnt us off. He copied a kind of compilation CD for each of us, and each one had a ridiculous title to the compilation, but it was actually the same compilation for all of us. But it included, I guess, without him kind of it was just a taste of a lot of the stuff that he was into that we might not have heard. A lot of kind of hardcore.
It was kind of like a really subtle way of saying, like, you know, I see your potential, but you guys are shit. Yeah, you know, exactly. you need to listen to some decent music.
That's exactly what it was.
And that kind of started the ball rolling, really.
We are still one, How did When We Was in Soup start?
Piss me. Oh, I was going out with an ex-smackhead up in Bramall. No, it's cool, man. She wasn't a junkie, like she was, but I didn't know that. Do you know what I mean? She'd lived like many lifetimes before I met her. She was like 29, and I think I was like 16 or 17, right? It was heavy, man. She had her own house and stuff. She's one of these girls who just drive around in a racing car and just have the seatbelt and all that. You're not gonna go on a rally, are you? Like, there's no rally. You just got the protector seatbelt and shit. And I always thought it was a bit weird, because I'd be like, phew, some girls. Do you know what I mean? Some girls. And then I was in the house one day. Loads of shit went on, man. There was people hanging out of the attic with like tin foil on their feet and stuff. It was just that's their drugs, though. Do you know what I mean? I never took drugs. That was cool. But like, I was going out with her, and I was in a band called White. I was in a band called White Apple. No, it's serious. This is real shit. Like, I was in a band called White Apple. And I'd played like a bunch of shows and whatever, like with this band. We had this song. Never mind the songs in that band. And some guys in this other band called fucking Wiggum, like Wiggum or something. Spoonfed Wiggum. It's Tom. It is. It was Tom and all. It is Wiggum, isn't it? Wiggum. They'd seen me all the skate park and stuff, and they'd seen the band and shit, because like, we used to skate and shit. And then he'd knocked the door one day, like just knocked this door, like because he'd seen me going in or whatever, and just said some shit. Did he knock the door? I can't remember how he did it. Remember I was in Bramall. I can remember that much, because I was like living around there with her, or staying up there at least. And then he kind of said, "Do you fancy a jam?" And I was like, "Well, with you?" And he was just like, "Yeah, what's that supposed to mean?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Like, yeah." Just like said yeah anyway, really like just made it felt like I didn't want to. Like I was like, "Well, with you?" And then it's just like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Puh, yeah." And then I did it, and then like up the road there was this guy who had an house, and he'd like practice in the house, because he had lots of space. He had like a basement area that you could practice in there, and then, like an upstairs area, the living room was huge. And he's pretty funky anyway, like he's into some shit. Like old school VHSs and stuff, do you know what I mean? Just collecting big box VHSs and shit. We were like to practice there the one day, we all went up there, met this other guy, Dope Bez. He was like, "Oh, we'll bring this kid up to play guitar or whatever, you need to meet him." Yeah. He come up, he had this fucking amp, right? We got into the house, through the window, I started practicing, and he had to come up. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm here, man, where are you to?" First time meeting this guy, like, Dope as, Blue Escort, turn up with a fucking combo or whatever, turn up this combo amp, and he's like, yeah, let me in, man. And he'd be like, "Oh, there's a deal, bro. Not actually met you. Jump through the window." Like, just push the amp through the window and then jump through, and then, so that's how we kind of started, our first practice was fucking chaos. Like, pulling an amp through a window like this. Gap of the window about this big, do you know what I mean? And then he's climbing through it, Dope Man's coming through, all neat as tits, do you know what I mean? Because he's one of those guys that he just loves. Yeah, pen and paper in it, like he's fucking, like Dope Man's always been smarting up, like just tink, like just neat. So he's neating up dude now in a little, like a little polo shirt and a pair of like things with a Lego haircut, trying to fucking push an amp through a thing. Pull it through. We practiced on it. It was rad. It was heavy as fuck. Like straight away, we just played music and it was just heavy as shit. And we were just like, yeah. And then I remember like, yeah, that's it. That's how we started.
But yeah, I remember the first 10-minute preview / the blackout gig in Merthyr Tydfil. I remember being really nervous before we went on, because it couldn't have been far off being sold out, I don't think. Perhaps I'm just remembering it and there was more people there than the other time. But the majority of the people were there to see how bad we were. But they were genuinely there to go, let's go and see what this chopsy twat is like in a band, because they're going to be terrible. And we played 3 covers. We played a Limp Bizkit cover, a Faith No More cover, and a Lost Prophets cover, and we played 2 of our own songs. Which we hadn't played the 2 of our own songs, so they weren't very good. But the other 3 were really good because they were pre-written for us. Yeah, the majority of people there were there to see us fail, definitely. And I just remember, there's a moment, a girl who won't be named, but I remember us standing in the middle, and the shocked look on her face that we were okay was enough for me to be like, I've got to keep doing this, like I've got to keep pushing, and I want to try and make this something, because she thought this was going to be terrible beforehand, and it's turned out to be 6 out of 10. So she was expecting 0 or less, and she's got 6.
I think like we had big ambitions. You know what I mean? You know, we were young. You look at your heroes and you look at the people doing things like, you know, I don't know, I guess I wanted to be one of the biggest bands in the world. I guess for me at the time it was like, what's the point in doing it if you don't want to aim high? Like, so yeah, I wanted to be like as big as Nirvana or as big as Pearl Jam or, you know, all my favourite bands. I wanted to play gigs with them. And yeah, and just like go out on tours all over the world and headline venues and have people singing your songs and yeah, all the cliched stuff. Like,
definitely had and cornered the market to a certain degree as far as the UK goes for that kind of emo, screamo, kind of post-hardcore kind of wave of bands that kind of came through. As far as Funeral for a Friend goes, I mean, we definitely took a lot of kind of, I guess, inspiration and kind of, you know, and looked at kind of a lot of American bands that were kind of doing that sort of thing, and I guess adapted it to how we kind of would approach it. So we definitely took that as inspiration, but we also kind of, I think, brought our own unique kind of angle to it as well. And I think that, you know, for the UK anyway, was a fresh sound back then. And I think that's generally why a lot of people jumped on it, why a lot of people kind of got behind it. You know, I think a lot of the younger kind of youth and a lot of kind of the younger people kind of the UK were looking for something new to get into music-wise. We're looking, you know, beyond kind of new metal because it becomes so diluted really, as kind of every scene does after so long. And they were looking for something fresh and different, and lucky enough for us, kind of our sound seemed to fit that bill, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure if for me it felt any different, because I wouldn't know really what to compare it to personally, but a lot of other bands from other places around the country would be like, oh, you know, there's this whole big Welsh scene, and they give their reasons for why it was different to their scene. So like, I was aware that there was a different kind of scene to everywhere else, but for me it didn't feel like, it just felt like what it was, you know what I mean? Just like all your mates were in bands, everyone was like buzzing because like bands like Lost Prophets are doing so well, and everyone just wanted to kind of just get on the road and be a proper touring band, not just a band from the local scene, like, you know. It wasn't like you wanted to break away because you thought the local scene was crap or whatever. It was like you just had big ambitions because other people had done it, you know.
You mentioned RMs. When I first started going there, and you had the likes of Maidasuno playing there and Pete's Sake playing there. I think the first show I saw there was Pete's Sake From This Moment On, possibly, I can't remember if they were there, and Maidasuno, and it was just like completely blew my mind apart, because I'd been in, you know, kind of cover bands of it really, and didn't realise you could actually you were allowed to make music like that, and those boys were just absolutely incredible, and it was just like, right, okay, like, away go the covers, let's actually write some decent music. And straight away after seeing those guys, and it was just like, you know, with all due respect to them, if those boys are doing it, then we can have a go at doing it as well. But yeah, that show, and kind of like seeing like the first kind of mosh pit or what have you, for a band in RMs was just absolutely incredible. So that kind of kicked it off for me and changed my perspective on things, because I'd gone there, you know, knowing who Lost Prophets, Stereophonics, Mannix and the Crockett's were, and that was the extent of my knowledge. So to then be exposed to bands like Maidasuno playing live, and Pete's Sake playing live, it was just completely eye-opening. And then after speaking to those guys and taking what their influences were, like, you know, Scott turned us on to King Adora, the Pete's Sake boys, you know, mentioned so many different punk bands, 4 Foot Fingers and stuff. Not a fan now, obviously, but at the time, and they played in RMs as well, actually. And yeah, just kind of to see boys like me, I suppose, from Merthyr and surrounding areas being able to do that type of thing was massively inspiring.
I saw them playing RMs, and I remember thinking, it was after Funeral for a Friend had, you know, gone on and got big, and I remember thinking, well, this is it then, these are the next. I just remember thinking, this is so, like, it was such a visceral live show. They had like Gethin and Alex fronting the band. Alex is mental anyway. Gethin was fantastic. And I remember they were playing in RMs, and Anthony was playing guitar, and he did a kick or something, and his shoe came off, right? Went completely over everyone who was watching, right? To the bar, right? Which was 60, 70 foot away, like over the bar. And I remember taking the shoe back to him, and I gave it back to him, and he said, oh, wasn't expecting it. And then we hung out after the show or whatever, and like, I knew Gethin was the only one I knew in the band at the time. And then I'd known Alex, because Alex was in a band called White Apple before he was in When Reason Sleeps. And so like, he'd come over to Merthyr, he'd come from Evervale. Like, this is the thing, when we put the gigs on in Merthyr, it wasn't just Merthyr people. Like, Evervale would get a bus load over, and the bus would come, and people from Cardiff and Swansea or whatever. And yeah, so I met Alex, and then one day I had a phone call of Anthony asking would if I'd be interested in being in When Reason Sleeps, because Gethin, they thought Gethin was going to leave, or they were going to kick him out. I don't know how that happened, but I had a phone call asking could I come down to a practice rooms in Newport and rehearse for them. And I'd seen them, and I thought these boys are awesome. And yeah, I went down, and apparently I found out since, I didn't know at the time, it's disgusting, and I never would have let it happen. I missed Gethin being kicked out or leaving the band by like 5 minutes. Like, they had called me to turn up, and I don't know whether they were expecting that's how they were going to do it, because I don't really know, but like, I was going to turn up and Gethin was going to be there.
Just lucky you got awful time.
It is lucky, yeah, it's lucky I got lost on the way to Newport, because Newport's so far away from Merthyr that I didn't know where I was. It's lucky I got lost and probably stopped at the McDonald's by the practice room on the way for a milkshake. But yeah, Gethin, yeah, I turned up and I was like, oh, hey boys, and they were all kind of down, and they didn't tell me at the time Gethin had just left, like, but then we started practicing together, and because all the boys in the Blackout were doing degrees at the time, they didn't have time to do gigs or rehearse really, so I joined When Reason Sleeps, and And yeah, I remember just being blown away by, you know, we were always a local band, but I remember it came to the point where we were a local band that we would sell out club like every time we play it, and you know, we could play it every 2 weeks if we wanted or whatever. And yeah, I remember just being blown away by it. And then we did I think it was the first ever show I did with Lost Prophets was with When Reason Sleeps. I know we did a tour with Lost Prophets in my dad's blue transit van with my ex-girlfriend Claire driving. And yeah, we went all the way, we went to Glasgow, Manchester, and I think we finished in Birmingham. We turned up 5 minutes before we were on in Birmingham. We had a load of, if I wasn't friends with Lost Prophets, any other band wouldn't have been allowed to play that gig. But I went to them. Mike said to, because their tour manager, George at the time, like he, yeah, he would have just struck any other band. He would have been like, no, but he knew, so he put us on. We turned up with 5 minutes to go. We played the show. We watched Lost Prophets, and then we got back in the van to leave, and the van broke down. And I spent bear in mind, the RAC is in Birmingham, right? On the way into Birmingham, the RAC village there. It took them 8 hours to come and get us from Birmingham. Yeah, at 11 o'clock at night. Traffic is killer in Birmingham. And yeah, that was like the first tour I ever did, and I remember just like this is a laugh. I still didn't really know everyone in When Reason Sleeps that well. Like we practiced and stuff, but I don't know what, like after we leave the practice room, I don't know what anybody did with their lives. Like, so it was kind of like an enigma in that way, where I was like, I couldn't work out the others in the band. And then the Blackout, they all finished uni, and we recorded whatever we recorded with the song Fashion Conscious on. Was that the first EP? I don't know, I think we did a demo of that with somebody. I remember playing out the When Reason Sleeps boys and them really liking it. And then, yeah, the Blackout decided they wanted to start playing shows again. And it was, I suppose it was perfect timing for When Reason Sleeps to break up. And then the Blackout carried on and surpassed anything When Reason Sleeps did. And that blew my mind, because I couldn't get over how well When Reason Sleeps had done. For 6 idiots who didn't have any lyrics, who were just running about making up on the spot. So people seem to like it. Like, oh, what's his ad-lib jazz metal band?
I think when I started out, it wasn't any kind of, oh, I've got to do this, or you know, it wasn't so much like that. It's just I was just having a really great time working with these bands, and it was kind of, it was a buzz to watch one of them, you know, get really big and start to get successful. And I think that was more important for me. That's what I loved about it. It wasn't so much about a personal thing, like I've got to, you know, do this to make myself big. It was just great to see like everything starting to happen. And I think there's definitely a time, I mean, when we did Apocalypse with Kids in Glass Houses, I mean, that band got their Roadrunner record deal off the back of like 4 or 5 songs, and you know, they toured those songs for like, I don't know, you know, a year and a half or something. And that, you know, things like that, that's what it was about. It was amazing when Roadrunner came along, signed them, and you know, let them make a debut album. Those are the moments that are, you know, were what were important to me, I think.
It felt special at the time. Like, it felt like there was a proper sense of community. I think it felt like there was only there was like a big number of bands, and like everyone seemed to be playing like Welsh Club or Barfly or TJ's or the Pub like every other week, and there was always something going on, and everyone knew each other, and probably felt like a family unit. Like, it was awesome. You always respected each other as peers, and like I was always a fan of what everyone was doing, just because everyone had their own little difference. Everyone was doing something slightly different, which made the scene so interesting, but we were still all playing shows together. I mean, I used to fucking love watching Mighty Suno play. Like, I used to just blow my mind every time. Like, and obviously playing shows with like the Blackout from when they were like 10-minute preview and stuff like that. And yeah, I guess, yeah, it's difficult to really say, because I think like you were a fan of everyone, but for different reasons, you know. And like even, you know, bands that were doing it slightly before I got into it, like Douglas and Art 7, like I was a huge fan of theirs. I used to watch them regularly and found them like super inspiring as well.
I don't know, I think it was just always so great. Like, you just go to a gig and you know every single person there. You know, it'd be so, like always like rammed. Like now, like sold out shows, like it feels like half full. But then, like every single show would just be full. Like everybody, like I don't know, you'd have like 4 gigs a week, and everybody would go to every single one. It would be so great. Yeah, I think like at the time it was all American bands aside from, it felt like it was all American bands aside from South Wales. Like, I don't know, like I got into it through like Linkin Park and then Lost Prophets, and then from Prophets speaking about like local bands, I would start going to all these shows, and then I don't remember really knowing of any other scenes like that in the UK. Like it was always just such a big thing for us. People used to always be like, there's something in the water in South Wales, and like friends from like London and Dublin and stuff, they would always, when I come to Cardiff, they'd always be like, oh, like there's so many bands there and stuff, you know. Because yeah, if I was ever going further afield, it was for bigger bands. Like you go and see bigger like American bands, or like say, I don't know, one of the bands that had done better and they were doing big shows, but like around there they didn't seem to have like local scenes like we did.
What are your like lasting thoughts and memories, and when you think about those times, what leaps out immediately about, you know, what thoughts come to the forefront of your mind first of all?
You know, finding mates that are into the same things as you, to start with, outside of school, and just meeting up with them. You know, obviously jamming, playing some music and getting to play your guitar really loud, but also just, you know, discussing music, films, what's going on in the world with, you know, your mates.
There we go.
Matt might agree or disagree, but I think that it was a victim of its own success, really. You get a couple of bands who get massive, Kids in Glass Houses, Lost Prophets, whatever. But what made it cool and interesting was that it was small, special, interconnected, which is the exact same reasons that I think it fell apart. You know, there's only so much our little part of the world can cope with, I suppose. And I think as well, like we were just talking about it, you play for different bands, you play with different people. That sort of generation of people, there's only so much, it's finite, isn't it? There's only so much you can sort of take, and then once people are successful, you get a lot of, you know, different emotions and stuff with that. People who are successful get more driven. There's a lot more pressure on the scene. I would even say jealousy, or you know, or sort of, you know, emotions like that. It's sort of changes the dynamic when you have a big piece of success like that. And I think that's, and then, you know, it coincided with the internet, and it coincided with a change in how you get out there and stuff. And I think that there was a lot of pressure on a relatively small geographic area and sort of emotional area. And I think it just, I don't think it could cope.
With so many bands splitting up and going their separate ways and just everything ending, it's kind of sad to see, but legacy-wise, it'll always be there because it's unbelievably good music.
Do you have any regrets?
Not really. I can't say I regret how Cover Girl ended, because it was just a series of unfortunate events. There were wires crossed, things were said, there were fallings out, and you know, we're all mates now, we've all grown up. I suppose the only thing I do regret is not being able to play one more show.
I think we could have took the opportunities better.
Yeah.
We didn't.
Yeah.
Because we just Five Valley scumballs, really, like, in it, having a laugh, like.
Wasn't it?
I think if it was my job, my business ed would have been a little bit better, but it's because it wasn't a job. I already had a job, do you mean? It's like, this is my escape from work, like. If it was like I hadn't had that, and then this is all it was, I think I would have thought more the money orientated. It's like, well, you know, we have got to do this.
No, we're trying to juggle everything, weren't we? Work, band, life, just trying to juggle everything and make everything fit like a jigsaw, really, and keep everyone happy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard to do, it's really hard, you know yourself, it's tough to do that. It's really tough to get out there and do these shows 4 or 5 nights a week and get to work with them.
But you're right though, it's going back to, you know, you were saying about the scene.
I mean, when we were around, when Music Sleep started, there was no real internet scene. It was kind of something, like you said, that was just coming up. A couple of people had it in their home, but it was primarily just for MSN Messenger and things like that. I mean, it took us a while to get. I remember getting the first CD and getting an MP3, and it was like hell is an MP3? We had our own forums, just for when music sleeps, which goes to show you how small the internet was back then. We had a little website and so on. But I don't think back then it was really a tool that was used by many bands. You kind of had maybe a MySpace profile and a couple of streamable demos, but there was nothing really. Do you know what I mean? There was no core of let's go to the internet to find our music, which I think benefited the scene majorly, because if you wanted to hear a band or buy a t-shirt or get any kind of involvement in the scene, you had to go to a live show. And I think that benefited both the bands and the audience and the listening audience at that time. And then obviously that started to grow, and I think that really just changed the game, because I think now being a band is more about, back then it was about having a live energy, having a good group of friends, putting on a performance, organising the show. But it just feels a lot more these days like it's about appearing on the internet as a product.
I mean, I'd like to think, it'll be remembered for great music, really, Yeah, and a different genre, if you like, a different style of music, but still respected all the same, for what it was. I know kind of the music world goes through, especially the kind of the rock world, as far as music goes through waves of kind of genres taking over. And I think that's going to continue, but I'd like to think the genre we were part of kind of enhanced people's lives, kind of and gave them something that excited them, that they enjoyed and loved being a part of, as much as kind of I did, and I know the rest of the guys in Funeral did.
You really had to put the effort in. It's strange that it felt like the scene didn't welcome people in because they wanted people to work and to become part of it, not just turn up to show, give £2, get drunk and go home. It's like you kind of got to have the passion for it, and it's like everyone was just working normal jobs. So between 9 and 5, you're just another guy answering calls in a call centre, and then in the middle, you'd be involved in something that nobody around you, everyone, they have their kids or they play football on a Sunday, but it's like, I'm involved in something that feels big, and even though there's no commercial interest in it, there's a lot of people involved, and you go to a show with 300 people and you wouldn't see anyone from your workplace there. It's just like this kind of calling of all the like-minded people who are into this kind of stuff, and it just felt it was exciting, and you can't do it forever, unfortunately, and doing gigs 3 and 4 times a week while working 9 to 5 and going between Newport and Cardiff and trying to get a couple of hours sleep before your next shift, and at some point you just can't anymore.
There's a show I don't think I'm ever going to forget, probably one of the more embarrassing moments. It was going mad. It was playing a show with Dope Greenwell, so it was going mad, and then I jumped off the stage and tripped over someone's bag. I fell flat on my face and I completely knocked myself out. That's quite a memorable and embarrassing moment. Yeah, it was just awesome. It was just stuff like that. I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, every show felt memorable. I mean, the When Reason Sleeps EP launch, where it was just you couldn't even get into fucking club. Do you know what I mean? It was stuff like that made you think, fucking hang on, something's going on here. Yeah, and something was fucking awesome.
I mean, one of my favourite Welsh shows we did with Dopamine was we did a tour with the Blackout, Dopamine versus the Blackout, and they did a cover of one of our songs, we did a cover of one of theirs, and that show was always sticks in my memory as being one really fun show we did. I mean, shows in TJs in general were great. I used to love that venue. I jumped through Sam's drum kit in TJ's and landed on a can of Coke at the back, and I had this can of Coke tattooed for 3 months on my back where the scar was, because he hadn't even opened the can, like, he's like, smash! Oh, I can't get up. I think that was the last time I jumped to his kit, actually. But, I mean, we toured loads in Maidasuno. Can't remember half of it because I'm just too drunk. Like, that band just wouldn't let you go on stage sober. Do you know what I mean? I remember Scott one time, he's like, we're doing some drinking games in the van, and he's like, I don't know, I can't remember what he did, but they got us so drunk. Ian played the set in the wrong key, the entire set. He played everything up a fret. Like, Sam was drumming, he was the only sober one there because he was driving, like, but he said it's the worst experience of his life. Like, Ian Mahanty's there, like, playing in the wrong key, and I'm there, like, just trying to stand up, let alone play guitar. But they got us that day. It never happened again, but they got us a treat that day. I remember Scott, like, reading Kerrang! Magazine one day, he's like, oh, the 10 most rock and roll things of all time. I bet they never drunk nail varnish. He got this nail varnish out of his bag, and just down the bottle of nail varnish. He's like, there's only us in a van, like, no one's gonna know about this, Scott. Do you know what I mean? It's like 6 of us in a van, but yeah, like, but that's how it was. Everyone's, you know, we were touring on no money, like, you know, just literally just on the road having a good time and playing gigs and, you know, just having the time of our lives, basically, you know, living your dream, like.
So 2006 we released LP, which is 9 years ago, and I was 20 years old. At that age, you just like, you know, I'm gonna just like, do this, see where it goes, and whatever happens, whatever doesn't. So you can do that up to a point. We had so much success, we were in a decent living, and there was kind of no reason to kind of think beyond, you know, your next paycheck or what was happening next summer, what festivals we were doing. Kind of thought around, kind of going and having a good time. And then you get to a point, you get a little bit older, you're like, okay, can I maybe think about buying a house? Like my girlfriend's getting an auntie. Like how much longer can we feasibly carry on? I mean, the older you get, like, the idea in life is that you get a little bit older, you get a little bit more money, you put a little bit more money away. And to be honest, the record industry was going in the opposite direction, so it was kind of just butting heads with the reality and the idealist view we had of it.
I think everybody will just remember like how good those times were, like how good the shows were, like how much fun it was. And I don't think anybody will ever forget that. You know, it was just such a nice time, like such a good time to look back on. And I think a lot of people, you know, still got a lot of good friendships through it and stuff. You know, a lot of those bands, then, you know, the music is still there. And like obviously some of them, like the Blackout and Kids, they've gone on to have like bigger careers and stuff. And so they'll always have their albums and stuff. You know, they've had some great times. And they've managed to make a living out of it for like 10 years or whatever.
The first show I ever played was in a pub in Pontypool under a pseudonym, like just so we could just try to set out, do you know what I mean, in front of a crowd or whatever. It was like a karaoke night or something, and we just played up there. A fair play, man, the pub was rammed, and they went off. It was sick. Like we did like this NoFX cover to open it, like this thing. Like anyone who didn't know me well wouldn't know the song because it's like an instrumental. Just to like, we just nicked this thing off a NoFX record, and then spliced it with like another punk like thing we found, and made like this little medley as an intro for the set. Did that, and yeah, it was just fast as fuck, and everyone was kicking off straight away, and I was like, mad innit? Because like in our heads, I was like, mad. People just kick off over anything as long as you play music for them. Because I was like, there's no possible way anyone can know this shit, because it's impossible. It's the first show we ever played. And let's just go in, and then the second, third and fourth show were on that Prophets tour. Which I think I was just wearing a similar pair of jeans to these now. Probably these jeans.
Yeah.
Probably not though, because fucking loads of them burned them.
No, they were tighter than that. They didn't leave anything.
Well, no, they weren't tighter. I was fatter. Like that's the sitch. That's the sitch, innit? I was podgy little Alex, like giving it Podge Bonington.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, we did that, and then we come off. So we raced to make a CD, man, for those shows, because we heard like the Prophets were taking on a bunch of bands. They'd taken on like Kids, and who else? Do you know? Anyone know? Who did they take out on our tour?
Kids, you guys.
They take out Collins Band. What's Collins Band called? Like after fucking.
1920.
Yeah, they took them out on our tour. Some other shit. Some other shit happened. I remember us having a call and just being like, you need to prep for merch, man, because like the support bands merch and shit are selling out, bro. Like they're just going, like blah blah blah, sold all this, and it just went. And then so we were like, cool, like what kind of prep do we need for this? Still being young as tits or whatever. I'd be like, come on in. So we made this EP. Like from the word go, I was like, let's not fuck around with all the bullshit now and the CDRs and the nonsense. Like made these CDs on like vinyl CD, like they're black vinyl. Saying that after that point, you know, I don't think I've ever put a CD. This is a CD. It's just always vinyls, like the little black vinyl CD, black on the bottom, like the PlayStation disc, like black case, black everything. Do you know what I mean? And then we had that the Godfather logo and put a black sleeve over it and made this like 3-track EP. Like whatever we could bang out in the closest amount of time out of these songs that we had, put them together, put on a CD. The truck, and it was a truck. The truck with our merch in for that tour turned up the day of us leaving to go on our tour, and we'd ordered 3,000 of those CDs. 5. Shit.
There's so many, for me personally, like so many highs and so many lows, and like, you know, starting out was amazing. You know, we had Lost Prophets. They were just doing their thing, and you know, with what happened then recently, like, kind of ruined everything and a lot of memories. But you know, ultimately, like my lasting memory of it all is like getting to do things that, you know, when you started out as an 18-year-old, you'd never dream of doing. Like playing places like Japan and touring Australia, releasing albums, you know, or anything that you just think it can't happen to us. We're just like some guys from Caerphilly. And it happened. I mean, I think that as an overall, everyone remembering it, I mean, I can't really comment so much on that. I would like to think that people would just look back on it and think we had a really good scene. You know, everyone was very supportive of each other. And from my personal point of view, Like there wasn't a lot of like jealousy towards bands. There was a little bit of envy at times of certain bands doing things you wanted to do and you didn't do. But it's more a case of when you look back and it's like, oh, good on them, you know what I mean? They've got to do those things and we've got to do these things. And it's just a good healthy scene, and like I've made so many good friends from it that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't been a part of it. So hopefully people feel the same way about it.
Awesome. Sweet.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. That's cool.
thing is, South Wales have had a lot of good bands that split up that I wish were still about. Like Douglas, Pete's Sake, Next 10 Years, were all awesome bands that people forget. So they could, like, I think if they were about now, all three of those bands could do really, really well, personally. But they were just like, wasn't on the wrong time, it was just, I don't know.